Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes, and welcome back to the YoVideogames podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Andrew.
And once again, thank you to all our generous patrons who've kept us going for over 375 episodes.
Yeah, if you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week is Christopher A.
Thank Chris.
Yeah, you've been a dude for, I think, since the absolute beginning. Thank you so much.
A founder.
Yeah, and as always, we have a sponsor to thank. If you've watched the last week's episode, you know that I'm sort of gushing. I'm becoming a big fan, so I decided to do a thing. I've been keeping my beard short for the last couple of years, but now I've decided I'm gonna grow it out. I'm gonna grow it out a little bit longer. I don't know if I'm gonna go full mountain man like I did in like 2017 or 2018, but I'm gonna grow it out, keeping the neckline nice and clean. It's gonna require a little bit more maintenance, but I like the thing enough that I am not annoyed by beard maintenance. And the two things I like most about the Beard Hedger Pro is this dial right here. If you can see it, you slide it and it adjusts on the fly by 0.5 millimeter your trimming guard. You don't have to like slot new guards on. You don't have to worry about like a janky clicking system. Like this is solid. Works really well, and the blades are super sharp, so you want the guard. It's really, it is the best beard trimming experience I've had, I think, ever, and that's truly saying something. I wish.
And you've definitely had a few beard trimmers before.
I've had 4, or this would be my 4th, and this is by far my favorite. And I've now used all of the beard trimming. The Beard Trimmer Pro or Beard Hedger Pro kit comes with everything you see here. This is a little cleaner than me showing you everything on my camera. But you got the hedger, you got scissors that are really sharp. You have a comb, you have a brush. The brush I really like. You have beard oil, you have conditioner, shampoo, and pomade for styling. Now, at this level, I don't really have to worry about styling.
But hey, if you got it long enough.
Right. But the beard oil is great. Beard oil is what stops that itchy skin or like dried out skin if you don't dry your beard really well. And it's like a super neutral scent. So it's not like it's not a powerful scent, which can be really annoying for me. I've always sort of hated really powerful scented beard oils. This is a totally neutral scent, so it just sort of feels great. Put a little bit of that on and then use the brush, and it's pretty great. I like it. I feel very pampered, and as they say in their copy, finally the drapes can match the carpet.
That's right.
Take care.
Got you covered head to toe, tip to taint.
Yeah, but you might be thinking, oh, Andrew, I don't want something super duper expensive or high end like that. Well, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with you, but they have like an entire line. You know, they have the ultra smooth package if you like to keep everything, you know, clean down there. They have, of course, the Lawnmower 4.0, the classic, which I also love. But they have my favorite boxers on the market too. I'm converted. I now wear these boxers all the time. The boxers 2.0,
wearing them now.
The premium ultra soft, and they really are ultra soft and supportive. I really do like them. So they have like a wide range. They take care of you tip to taint, head to toe, and their signature scent is wonderful. You can get all of their stuff in the signature scent. If you're interested in checking out any of these products, please head over to manscaped.com. Use our code YOVG, all caps, for 20% off and free shipping worldwide. Your balls will thank you.
And now your beard will too.
And now, yes, your beard balls. Your face balls. I feel so weird how much I like this product because it's the first thing I want to talk about in their lineup, and they have like a giant lineup now.
Yeah.
But speaking of,
it's the only hair on your head that you can talk about.
Yeah, god damn it. But actually, that is another nice thing about it. I know we're going beyond the ad, but like being able to get your sideburn to match with your with the hair on your head when you keep it really short because you're follically challenged, as the doctors say.
Is that what the doctors say? They call it follically challenged.
No, but that's what I'm going for.
All right.
Everybody's got a medical term for whatever their asshole thing is, so I'm going follically challenged, okay? But today we're talking about Who Shot Gaming's Golden Goose. It's a really great title, but also it sort of comes down to the long and the short of it is gaming pricing makes no goddamn sense, especially with like gaming as a service, microtransactions. Like, there's no real metric for why you should be charging whatever you're charging for your game,
Yeah.
especially as you go into like remasters. Should a remaster be charged the same as a next gen title, or at least a current gen title? What generation are we actually on?
Then
Nobody
that's getting
knows.
real confusing here because it was already kind of weird with Last of Us Part 1. It's a
Right.
remake. It does not include the multiplayer, just a single player of Last of Us Part 1.
And the
But it,
DLC, right? It had the DLC.
yeah,
for part-
I had the DLC
well,
campaign, but it's a full graphical ground up remake, and it costs $70, which is more than the original cost when it
Mhm.
first came out, and certainly a lot more than it cost to buy the remaster of Last of Us on PS4, the PS4 version of it. So, charging $70 for something that was like technically looked prettier, but technically also had less content than what you could get on PS4. And then it kind of came up again because last week Nintendo Shadow dropped Metroid Prime Remastered
which is great.
by Retro, the original developers like Last of Us. But this is a full graphical remake. It came out at $40. Now, I've heard some people say that they're charging way too much for it, yada yada. But at least you can appreciate that it launched cheaper than the original did back 21 years ago. At least $10 cheaper than that. And it is a full graphical remake. It's also multiple generations removed. It wasn't like we had a PS3 and then we had a PS4 remaster and then we did a PS5 remake. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
And
like,
we're
this
in
was
the age of remakes now.
yeah.
So
So like this was on the GameCube, and then there was the Wii, and then there was the Wii U, and technically there was the trilogy release, but it was just like a packaging of the old game, and then the Switch. So it's like we're at least when you're over 20 years removed, that does kind of help a little bit, and
right.
it is launching cheaper, and it is a very good looking game.
It's gorgeous. And they've updated maybe one of the only complaints you could have about the original, even though it's not really a complaint, but like the controls are now updated to what
Yeah.
we can all agree is a better control scheme in general for
there's
shooters.
a little bit of weirdness with some of the weapon swapping where like you change the beam type on your arm cannon. You now have to hold X and then use the D-pad rather than just flick the C stick, because you didn't dual analog in the old one. You lock. I mean, you still lock on. You can still lock onto things with the dual analog, or you could just not do it. Like they have like 4 control styles, something like that. They have like motion controls. They have a mixture of motion controls. They have old style. They have dual stick.
Right. And I don't remember because I haven't played this one. I've only played the original, and like I can't remember for the life of me if you had strafing.
When you lock on, you
You could
start
strafe.
strafing around the object if you go left or right.
Yeah, and otherwise your gun is always pointing forward, and you're like
Yeah.
just there's not really like a clean way to look around in that game.
Not in the old one.
Yeah, in the old one.
You would have to hold down a button, and then she would like hold her arm down and then like look like in stasis,
Right. And that worked really well at the time, but now that would be mind-bogglingly slow. It's sort of like how everybody talks about tank controls in RE4.
Yeah.
In RE4 Remake, they're not going to have tank controls. It's probably going to move just a lot
Yeah,
better.
and it has it. Like it still has the classic control scheme. And someone was saying, yeah, you can plug the GameCube controller, through the Wii U adapter, the Smash adapter. You can plug it in and start the game and set it up, and you can actually play it with a GameCube controller on classic style if you're so inclined.
The nostalgia boner is real.
Yeah,
That'd be great. So how long was the original Metroid Prime? Do you remember like how many hours?
it was. I mean, it was like a full sized was longer than most Metroid games.
So
So
probably around the 10-hour mark.
around the
Somewhere.
10-hour mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, really depends on how much you get lost.
For me, a lot, a lot at the time. But I guess what I'm getting at is like it used to be, and we've even used this sort of calculator in the past, where it's like uh, per hour, cost per hour of
Yeah,
entertainment, gaming is still sort of the cheapest you can go.
technically, yeah.
Yeah, it is. You're right. You go see a movie for 2 hours, it's going to cost you a minimum of $10 an hour, generally speaking, and that's if you don't get any snacks. All right. But now with like microtransactions and live service games,
Hmm.
the trade-off used to be, well, if you bought the game, there wouldn't be as many microtransactions or any microtransactions. But if it was free to play, there's definitely going to be
Yeah.
microtransactions. EA, what was the famous quote you said from EA?
EA told, I forget who, it was like the CEO or one of the heads of EA, told an indie publisher developer that if he said you would be a fucking idiot or you'd be fucking insane to release a single player game without microtransactions.
Yeah. And where is EA today? Great. Good talk, CEO of EA. But like EA is sort of the perfect person to look at when you're like, oh, they charge full price for the game and game
Yeah.
enhancement
And
is
I
locked
think
behind
and I
paywall.
think people are really, really like, no one likes that anymore.
No one has ever liked that.
No one has ever
Anybody,
liked it, but I mean, like,
it used to be
okay,
tolerable.
we hate microtransactions. We hated them when they were first introduced with fucking horse armor in Oblivion. I mean, really, Bethesda again strikes again here.
But they learned their lesson quick.
But there's a little bit of like there's a lot of okay, the game's free to play. Microtransactions, and then they learned even the better thing where it's like the game's free to play. There's nothing, and we get rid of pay to win. And who fucked over pay to win hard? EA.
Right.
So,
Yeah. EA's sort of the ultimate bad guy in this episode. Like
yeah,
it's going to be so
evil
easy to just shit on
association.
them.
Like, they really just fucked it up for everyone, including themselves. But it was like, okay, so then it was like this great golden goose of like, okay, well, the game can be free to play. There's no pay to win mechanics. Everything goes cosmetic. And then loot boxes for a while, and then even I argued how loot boxes are a scam. And that was a whole back and forth. But then like even that went away. Now it's just battle passes and FOMO. Fortnite figured it out. It's free to play. There's no loot. There's no looting anymore. Loot boxes where you pay for a grab bag. Now that's both gone. What is it now? It's FOMO. We put a cool looking thing on the shop. You have a day to buy it.
Right.
Or it's gone forever, for a year, for multiple years, for months, who knows? Like gone for a while. So they FOMO it. And FOMO is definitely predatory. I'm not going to say it's not predatory, but I feel like it at least got to this point where it's like, okay,
it's not gambling.
I'm not gambling. I'm not being charged to play. As an adult, I can sit there and go like, do I fucking need this? Do I have to own this? Am I really going to get much use out of it? A kid's not going to really have that, which makes Fortnite a little scummy. And they've definitely gotten, slapped on the wrist a couple times for it. They actually recently had to implement a turn off voice chat feature. They had to default turn off voice chatting for kids. Because,
really?
Yeah, I think it was under the guise of like cyberbullying or whatever. Basically, like a kid can he can download Fortnite for free. He can start playing it and immediately start getting like bullied. Immediately start getting all kinds of like racial and homophobic slurs just thrown at him constantly. So it's like, yeah, I can kind of understand that. And it's like, congratulations. This is why I don't voice chat with people.
But ever since they invented party chat, anybody that's ever spent any time on the internet's like, fuck voice chat.
And I love how like both, I think Sony and Xbox, or maybe just Xbox, or maybe I don't remember who. They initially just said, hey, now we've synced up with Discord, because they know people are just like not using their own internal game party chats anymore. Now everyone just goes to fucking Discord now. So like now they've implemented Discord into like one or both PlayStation and Xbox, just to like you could just go navigate your Discord, friend channels there.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So it's like, yeah, like, okay, great, like not even trying to fight it. But yeah, like that was in a good place. There's a problem though. And here's the next problem, because there's like one problem, and then this gets, and then kind of like we get through it, and then like goes away.
It's a
What's the
pyramid of shit.
problem now? Here's our current issue: is that like within the last couple of weeks, like 10 fucking live service games got shut down. Most of them free to play, though not all of them. Some of them were pay to buy. Then it was like all kinds of subscription and battle passes, and yeah, Hello Babylon's Fall, Chocobo GP, Square really fucked those games over. That's why they're shutting down in less than a year. But
it's the Square way.
Now there's a problem of like they have to shut a bunch down, and I'm like, why? Why is everything dying? Because there's too many. The market you had saturation, and then the other part is that in we don't know, we'll never know. I'm sure there's way more to it than just because it got shut down so quick as Rumbleverse. I talked about that, where it's just like, it's butt fucking ugly. Like, you're not going to get anyone to buy any cosmetics on a game that looks like trash.
Right. And I sort of feel bad for the character designers who, like, there's no one softening that blow. Like, no one's trying to say it nicer. Like, they're just like, it looks like shit. Put that on the resume, I guess. That sucks.
Just the thing is like, you got to buy something that you're selling a cosmetic. So you're basically selling this thing, like, you're not asking someone to buy a game. You're not asking them to buy a gameplay item. The only thing you're asking them is to buy something for cosmetic visual appeal. You are selling entirely just on visuals. So you got to make it something that either looks cool, people really want, or people really want to date, right, or whatever. As I say, like, because I was always, I've said this before, I was usually, a lot of people always say sex sells. And I used to say it doesn't. I said sex advertises. It doesn't sell. If it sold, Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball would have been way bigger than it was.
Right.
Hell, Dead or Alive would have been a lot bigger than it was. It's when they offered a free-to-play version of Dead or Alive did the fortunes really change around for Dead or Alive 5. But I will say this, that changes on free-to-play. Sex sells on free-to-play. Nobody wants to walk into a store and pay $60 goddamn dollars for like, a titty beach volleyball game.
But they'll spend $5, $10, sometimes even $20 on, a hot operator in COD or
right. If the volleyball game was free to play, everyone would fucking download it, and then they're like, "Oh, $5 oh, you gotta spend $25 for the string bikini? Here, I'll do it." Like,
there's somebody, yeah.
That's where you get them, because they bought in. They're already in the system now that once it was free to play. So that's where I say, like, sex advertises, it doesn't sell, but it changes on free to play. When there is no selling, or when cosmetic is the sale, then it sells. When the game is already free, when someone's already acquired it, they're already in the feedback loop.
So it's the microtransactions bubble, or maybe gaming in general is in a bit of a bubble.
Yeah, and I think to be fair, it's way more to do with saturation than cosmetics even.
Right, and that's always the sign of a bubble coming to burst. And who bursts it, though? Because sometimes it can take a long time for that to shift, trends to shift, or like a bubble to burst.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here like, oh, was it Battlefield 2? Was Battlefield 2 where people were just like, fuck all this noise?
Battlefield 2 burst the loot box bubble. It burst pay to win. Or Battlefront 2, Star Wars, whatever.
Battlefront, yeah, sorry, Battlefront. But absolutely it did. But was that actually the beginning of the burst for just like live services in general?
No, I don't think
people
so.
Don't give a shit about it anymore.
Honestly, it's hard to. I don't know if one game. I think it's a competition between Ubisoft and Square Enix. When they tried to for the last 2-3 years going into the pandemic.
So EA is already irrelevant, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Fucking irrelevant.
I actually am saying that. Like, EA had already burned most of their goodwill bridges. And do you remember how Battlefield, 5 and 1 and whatever, every Battlefield after that Star Wars debacle, both undersold. And a lot of it had to do with, there's other reasons beyond just being live service. They kept releasing Battlefield games that didn't have the full feature set at launch. BR would come months later. This mode would come months later. We'd add this later. So they kept launching in buggy, unfinished states, which kind of took EA really out of the game in general. And then Ubisoft and Square Enix did this thing where Square more recently, first it was Ubisoft, then it was Square, where every game had to be like a live service mentality. Every game, including Assassin's Creed and single player, had to have this feedback loop of live service microtransactions and blah, 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 blah.
Right. It's the golden goose. As somebody saw one person get the golden goose.
Yeah. And the golden goose is like player retention and player spending. We're turning players into payers, as was famously once said. But like, yeah, this loop of like, we got to get you retention. So we got to like do things to make you stuck in the game and grinding the game out more and like constantly keep you coming back. It's not just keep adding content, which is part of it. It's we have to like keep adding content. We also have to also make it take a lot of time for you to get that content. So you're stuck there till we're ready to release the next bit of content. And Ubisoft like crashed and burned harder. Like, remember like Ghost Recon Breakpoint and shit like that. And
yeah, oh yeah,
just so many titles, like their Rainbow Six Extraction, like zombie game or whatever the fuck it was,
right? Which nobody played.
Yeah, nobody, exactly. Why? Because they were fine with Siege. Like, people play Rainbow Six, they think Siege, and they enjoy Siege, and they love Siege, and there's no reason to leave Siege.
Well, I also think part of the reason that the Ghost Recon game didn't do great is it wasn't very clear on any PvP element.
No, it was not.
And I think especially when it comes to operator skins and shit like that, no one's going to spend money on a thing they don't show to anybody. Like when it comes to skins and stuff, like they'll play a game to earn the skin that's coolest for themselves. But like no one's going to drop $10 on a skin. Who are they going to show that to? Like these are also the people that killed couch co-op. So again, no one to play with, no one to show. I think the whole Extraction thing was a fundamental misunderstanding of what people liked about Siege, or maybe it was like that game wasn't supposed to be anything associated with Rainbow Six, and then they sort of
it's that or just kind of like there was this like weird desperate like how do we keep momentum going? What do we do next? How do we like keep like eyes on our product kind of thing? And just
right,
sort of
and
like,
there's just like a lot of things that they could have done with Siege that they never did. I don't know. I guess it's still going now, but I lost interest in it. There was a lot of ways they could have gone. They didn't need to go the Extraction route. But like things as simple as release new maps. Just like
it's
generally.
weird to me how much people resist just fucking releasing new maps.
Maybe because it's more expensive to hire developers to make maps than it is to hire artists to make new characters. I
guess so, man. And I've heard that like working at
Weird.
Epic kind of sucks because it's like a constant grind because they're constantly just changing the main map. They're just like remixing and changing up like the layout of the main map, and like there's like it's a constant grind. Like it's just like forever crunch kind of thing. Which I can also understand, but like, but when you're Ubisoft and you have like 10,000 developers at your disposal, or whatever, like, because they used to do it where like they would throw 1,000 bodies at a project per year to get a new Assassin's Creed out every year,
right?
By throwing 1,000 bodies at it every time, and it's kind of like maybe instead of an Assassin's Creed a year, you throw 1,000 bodies at Siege. Just to constantly give it new maps, and stuff like that.
Yeah, like and I mean they did do new maps here and there. It's not like they didn't at all, but they just didn't do it as often as I thought they could. Weapon packs, skins, stuff like that. Like they really didn't release skins all that much when I was playing it. It's sort of like one thing about Call of Duty Warzone that is Oh, well, Warzone 1, especially compared to Warzone 2. Warzone 2 hasn't really been all that great yet, but
Yeah.
Warzone 1, they had like cool shit was coming out just from an aesthetics perspective. It wasn't shit necessarily that broke the game.
Yeah, no, it was like, hey, did you see that weird new thing in like a
Yeah.
costume in the shop or that weird new gun skin?
Yeah, and like just Ubisoft never
Yeah.
got that, never went for that.
And it's weird
Weird
to
as
see
hell.
kind of like Microsoft fall into like this weird pitfall with Warzone 2 where they're like, "Oh, why is it doing so bad?" I'm like, "I don't know, maybe because you took away everything everyone had bought and then you didn't offer anything to really replace it." Like
Right.
like it's all you did was just take away stuff. You just took away a bunch of shit. Oh, but we have this whole new map mechanic and system. I'm like, A, people don't really know if they're gonna like it, and B, and they don't. First of all, but you took everything away to funnel people to play the new thing that doesn't have any of the stuff that they bought can be used in. So it's kind of like it feels like such an easy pitfall to have avoided
Right.
with what
Like
they did with it.
they could have just brought people back to Warzone 1 by releasing a new map.
Yeah.
Nobody had that much of a problem with Warzone 1 mechanically.
Yeah, and really, we just wanted it. We just wanted glitches fixed and shit like that, and like oh, we have these great new fuck your great new graphics.
Well, I mean, we're sort of at a point in time where like
It's like Warzone
graphics
didn't
can
look
only be
that bad. I mean,
right.
it kept looking worse because they kept downgrading it for like stability purposes.
Right.
Um, but
Like really the buildings were the worst looking part of it.
yeah, I mean, really, all they really needed to do was just cut off last gen. They weren't going to cut off last gen, but should have cut off last gen for
Right.
Warzone 2. If you wanted Warzone 2 to like stand out, like stop trying to make it cross gen.
Or they don't want to cut off everybody that's going to spend money on it.
Right, right. But then I'll give them nothing to spend money on. And that kind of like leads back into the whole question of like, okay, so like free to play games are having a rough go, mostly just because market saturation and some really easily identifiable stupid mistakes. But then it's like, okay, well, what about single player games? And you know, oh, we have to have microtransactions, we have to have DLC, we have to have all these added bullshit to make it work, kind of thing. There was a report that came out this week that said someone was saying that they were told, like this was internally, that if a single player game doesn't sell 10 million copies, it's not going to be profitable. It's not going to be considered a success anymore. You know, going forward, like things have to sell. You have to sell 10 million copies for modern game budgets. You know, for modern. And I'm like, okay, we need to all collectively then take a step back and ask ourselves, in what world did we put ourselves in where the only way for this to make money is to sell 10 million copies?
It's that same blockbuster mentality that sort of infected Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
It's not about making some money, it's about making
All
all
the
the
money.
money. You know, I don't care about having 10 big hits. I care about having one enormous hit. I don't give a
Mhm.
fuck about 10 really good movies that make their budget back in, you know, a reasonable return of 20%. No, I want to have a movie that makes $1 billion fucking dollars. And we will put everything into it. Um, I do think that that's just kind of like what business is now. We've had 20 years of sort of cheap money,
Yeah.
you know, where like investment has been sort of easy to come by. And so going for all the pie is reasonable because you can expand dirt cheap and all that shit's coming to an end. The dirt
Mhm.
cheap money for that kind of thought process is ending. And I think now we have a bunch of middle and upper management that has never worked in a world where there's real competition, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's
so
a good
now they're
point.
slashing and burning, right? You know? Um, and maybe it's like maybe it never really was the golden goose. Maybe it was just like one person got it right, and every other fucking guy without an imagination was just like, let's do that then.
No, I think you're more right than anything on that. Like that's to me that's it. Like, oh, well, who killed the golden goose? There was no golden goose. One guy had a pretty neat idea, got lucky, and then no one cared about your copycat of that.
Right. No one gave a shit about the 10 games you made that were exact clones of that.
Yeah.
Um, I look at a game like Hi-Fi Rush, which I don't know if you'd consider it a hit because it's on Game Pass, so there's no
Mhm.
real way to say like, oh, its sales were through the roof. But I bet you it wasn't a super expensive game. I bet its threshold for
Mm.
being a hit is probably much lower than say any Bethesda game. They like the budget for that game, the team on that game was probably smaller than even another Tango game, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where I kind of think we need to like take a step back and go like, okay, we need to get back to a point where we're not spending hundreds of millions of dollars
On every game,
on every game. Like,
right?
we need to find a way to make games that don't cost that money because they can't sell that. You can't expect sales like that. That's just you just can't expect sales to be like that, right? Um,
I think you could in a world where competition is, I guess, stiff, sure, but at the same time, like gaming exploded in the last, I guess now it's like 15 years.
yeah, it did, but like I don't know, just like on the other hand, it did explode, but like we need to get to the point where like it doesn't. You don't need so many people. You don't need so many hours, to make a game because like game manpower and time also jumped up really high with the
Right.
explosion in popularity for this whole drive, drive for better graphics and whatever. And I kind of look at a lot of stuff and I'm like, and this is what I've heard. The point of Unreal 5 is to streamline more stuff from Unreal 4, which the theory is as time goes on and more of Unreal 5 gets in more people's hands, it streamlines development to make development faster, cheaper, easier. Um,
Right.
which is good, it is a good that is a good thing. That's a good thing to go for. Um, but I also think that like maybe you don't need yeah, like I think games like Hi-Fi Rush need to exist as sort of palate cleansers.
Yeah, more games like Hi-Fi Rush need to exist than like we don't need 10, you know, uber high-end God of War
Mhm.
quality, blockbuster games. They're great. I'm not even it's I don't
Yeah.
want to pretend that I'm shitting on that. That's not what I'm going for. Um what I do think though is like Hi-Fi Rush is, if we had 10 of those for every one God of War, it would be a healthier, like,
Yeah.
market
And I don't know about
for
that game in
both.
particular, but a game like Hi-Fi Rush, let's say you have a palate cleanser game and it doesn't do well.
Not a
The
huge loss, right?
the loss will be less than when, you put something out like God of War budget and it flops,
Right. Yeah,
you
no,
know?
if God of War flops, that studio has to seriously consider quitting.
Yeah.
They have to seriously consider just going back to the drawing board and hope they can all get jobs. If Hi-Fi Rush flops, um, you know, it's a hit and you don't want too many of those, but you can keep going. You can learn from that
Yeah.
mistake.
I think we also we need to get back to an era where a studio having one flop doesn't crater the whole studio.
Right. Yeah, and that's the problem I think with live service style games or games as a service is all the eggs go into one basket.
Yeah.
A studio will exist purely to service a single game.
Mhm.
Granted, budgets, or sorry, not budget. Bungie is having such a big success with Destiny, but Destiny's the only thing Bungie does. If Destiny ever fails, Bungie's in like sort of hot water.
Yeah, they are, but you would hope that at this point, like, well, they're owned by Sony now, so I guess that's really not
Right.
a problem.
At this point, they're safe, but like that's the
But
type
like
of
the
thing.
idea, I think that I had a hope for Bungie would have been like if Destiny just stopped getting people playing it, stopped making money, you would hope that they'd built up enough money since starting Destiny that they could float themselves to launch the next product.
We just had a pandemic where we realized no company has any sort of war chest except Nintendo.
Yeah, that's
Nintendo's the
kind of
only
true.
company that
Yeah.
operates that way anymore.
Like I'm reminded of Super Giant Games because they did Bastion and
Mhm.
then Transistor, and they were both pretty successful. They had pretty good word of mouth, a lot of indie love, blah blah blah. And then they did Pyre, fucking flopped. Omega flopped. Like I didn't even
Yeah.
know the game existed.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I had forgotten about it until I think we saw it on some presentation. We're like, oh yeah. I think we both had that oh yeah
Yeah,
moment. Right.
and they bounced back with Hades, which
Mhm.
was more successful than anything they've ever done. So
And it's still making the money.
still make money. So they're going to do a Hades 2, which first time they've done a sequel. But like it was kind of neat to see that they had pretty good first two games they made were pretty good successes.
Mhm.
Like pretty good. I would say, A, like an A minus or B plus grading. Like yeah, we had some pretty good successes. They had enough money that like, and it was scary because apparently like Pyre, like, oh man, that really all that work for no payoff really didn't do anything good for them. Like
Right.
apparently it from what I understand, it was a scary moment in time getting Hades done because they weren't really sure if like they're like this is it
This is
got to
it.
that this is going to make or break us, but it was make or break us after one failure. At least there was that.
Yeah.
And I think there's another studio, Studio MDHR, who did Cuphead, made fuck tons of money. There's not a lot of people that work for them, from what I understand. If their next game is an Omega level flop, I would assume they probably can go, okay, that didn't work. We could probably, I'm going to guess, they could probably at least get the ball rolling on a third project, maybe even more because Cuphead made so much goddamn fucking money.
Well,
And in the merchandising and Netflix show and da 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 da, so much.
this might also just be like a side effect of two things. One, super efficient businesses where like we're in sort of that late stage of min-maxing business. And I know that sounds so silly, but like
No,
it's
that's
true.
true.
They're so hyper efficient. They cut away so much fat to maximize profit that when something goes wrong, they have no recourse. They don't want to have money left over to ride out a storm. They'll use it on stock buybacks or investing in something
It's
else.
so
Or
weird to me. Like,
well, it's a totally different philosophy from what was in the early 80s, say, where it was like you needed to have money on hand to ride things out. Microsoft likes to have money on hand to ride things out. It's why eventually Microsoft will own everything in gaming, probably. um,
yeah,
but actually, oddly enough, game studios basing their model now on movie studios and TV studios. That's how TV studios operate, is all or nothing. They don't ride shit out anymore. They haven't since the early 2000s. They basically haven't since the mid 90s when blockbusters looked like they were the way things were going. Steven Spielberg was like, oh, tent poles means that studio system is going bye-bye. And yeah, studios are still the biggest distributors, but they're a total distribution model. They're an all or nothing model.
yeah. And I kind of hate that in a way where it's just,
it leads to it leads to less good shit, really.
and you know what? And personally, I think the stock market leads to less good shit. I think a company going public tends to be like the worst thing because a game studio, a game publisher, they don't sell like we have all these different like if you're a food brand, right? If you're like Frito-Lay's Corp, you have chips, you have sodas, you have Taco Bell, KFC, Pizza Hut. You have all this shit under an umbrella, and like they can all do other whatever. Activision Blizzard, which is already a merger of a merger of a merger, they release Call of Duty.
That's
And then
it.
Blizzard, it shits out a game every time they upset someone in China. And then Candy Crush just kind of sits there in the back, just kind of slowly, just quietly accruing money. And they don't have a lot of product. They have like one product a year. They have two products a year, maybe three. That's it, right? And so going public and going on the stock market means that you become beholden to shareholders. and now everything's about quarterly and year-over-year profits.
And
Is your
advancement
year-over-year
of those
better? Is your
profits.
year-over-year better? All you care about is getting this never-ending. Every year has to be more than the last year.
Right.
This never end, and it'll never end, and there's never going to be good enough kind of thing. Where it's just kind of like, I wish game companies weren't publicly traded. I wish they more of them were just kind of like, we're private companies. All we need to do is make a profit. And it doesn't matter how much more or less it was in the year before. If I make if in year 3 I make a profit, but that profit is less than year 2, I'm still doing great because I made a profit, and that's all that fucking matters. I made money. Everyone gets to keep their job, and we'll just keep on trucking because, like, see what we can do next time. Profit. Like, are we making more than we're spending? But that's not good enough for a publicly traded company. Not good enough when you have shareholders.
Yeah, it is an odd because when you become publicly traded, you shift from a model where your customers matter to where your shareholders matter. You know, they're the top of the pyramid. And I do think that you're right. That does have a major effect about how companies operate and what their goals become.
Yeah.
I think that's a big reason why there's churn in jobs the way that there is now. But I find it kind of, I guess, odd that going public could mean that a game company would suddenly not be able to operate well. And I think what it is because executives then shift from executives who know about the game business to executives who know about the stock business or the shareholder business.
Yeah.
You know, I do think that that's an interesting point because you'll watch like a CEO. They'll bring on specifically CEOs who know how to get you ready to go public. And really what that CEO is a shark who will cut jobs and increase profit margins enough to make it an enticing buy to shareholders. They don't care about the 5-year outlook of a company. They care about the 2-year, the 1 year, the 3/4.
And that's always what drove me nuts too. Is like people don't have any long-term invest. Like people have no long-term sight. Like, oh, we gotta make more than last year. I'm like, yeah. Well, it's like, what if you spent all your expired all your workforce to get this quarterly or yearly profit, but then they're completely burned down. They all quit. So in 5 years, you have nothing. Well, you got that one. That was good for 1 year. And
the counterpoint, I guess, is like Nintendo, right? Nintendo is a publicly traded company that seems to operate like a private company. Nintendo operates like a private company
because they're very old and stubborn.
Yeah, they just don't care. Like, I almost think Nintendo thinks of their shareholders as a nuisance, not
absolutely.
their point.
I mean, I would too if you saw like the questions they ask. Those shareholder meetings can be gold mines of just like, what the fuck is going on here?
Well, because most shareholders are older than 60. Most of them are in their 60 to 80 range, and they don't know a fucking thing about what they're investing in.
Nope.
They read the numbers of profitability and they're like, yes, but they don't know the product. It's one of the first things they talk about in investing is like, if you're going to invest in a company, you should understand their product. That doesn't get talked about anymore. That's like the 101 shit they talk about in college, like in personal finance. They're like, you should understand the product the company makes if you want to invest in the
and
product.
if you hear these, and when you hear these shareholder questions, they don't know anything about video games.
Yeah, they don't. They're just like, why is my money not exponentially larger?
And then there was famously the guy at the last big shareholder meeting. He got internet famous. He was a young guy, it turns out, like a young whatever venture capitalist or whatever. He got lucky. And he was like, when are you going to make new games in F-Zero and Bite Kaitos? And he just listed all these fucking dead franchises. For any of Bite Kaitos coming back now. But like, he listed all these games. He should just straight up ask Miyamoto to his face, like, when are you going to make some new games in these old IPs that are beloved and like, but you haven't done anything with in a while? And someone got a hold of him. They're like, you have to have 40,000 shares to get in on these meetings.
That's a lot of money.
Or not shares. I think it was maybe that was the money. It was like you need to have spent $40,000 in stock to be able to be invited to these shareholder meetings. And he's like, yeah, I wanted to get there. I wanted to ask that question. He's like, I love Nintendo, but like I wanted to know where the new games are. So he was young. He came into a bunch of money, and bought a bunch of Nintendo stock and got in there and was just kind of like, now I'm going to straight up ask you, where are these games I want?
Right. But it is also a legitimate question, because when you have an IP stock like that and you're not doing anything with it, you're yet again shooting the golden goose.
Yeah.
Nintendo has some of the most beloved IP of all time, and they just haven't touched it in
Nintendo's kind of like
ages.
fucking weird, where it's like they get a golden goose and they'll feed it, and the minute a golden goose starts laying eggs, they just kind of let it starve.
Right.
They
Lay
just
until you
they
die.
have so many other golden gooses, they'll just keep feeding it. Where it's kind of like keep feeding Animal Crossing, keep feeding Splatoon, Mario, of course, Zelda. Oh, Zelda, oh, you're laying a fat egg now, Zelda. That's good for you. And it's like, what about? And then like I don't know, you pick any brand like Star Fox. He's like, well, what about me? I like you can die.
Yeah. So it's probably not Nintendo. Well, Nintendo really never jumped into the live services game.
Well, that's the thing is like Iwata being what he was when a lot of this stuff was really coming into like play before his passing, he didn't he was very hesitant. Like he didn't like it because I think from a Wada standpoint, as a I think he had a developer standpoint where he looked at it and be like, how does this generate long-term success? Because a lot of people are just like, "Where's you need a mobile gotcha game? Where's your mobile stuff? You should have mobile stuff." And for him, I think he was kind of like gun shy about it because he was like, "I don't want to just like make a game and then it makes money initially and then it bursts and then it's like, then what do I do with all those developers?" Like
right,
I
because he
think he
wasn't
looked at
into a
it from a
boom and
design.
bust.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he looked at it more from a design standpoint where it's kind of like, I'm not providing long term benefit to the players or the developers by just making a flash game real quick just to gouge money. Um,
Right.
and he apparently was in the hospital in his bed, technically his deathbed, and he was having Skype or whatever conversations with Niantic because he was like he wanted to make sure they weren't making too many predatory business transactions on Pokemon Go.
Right.
Because his thing was like, no, don't like it almost reminds me of that. I think it's in The Godfather 1, where like Marlon Brando is basically like he doesn't want to get into the drug dealing business. Like
Right.
he's worried about like the youth or whatever. And like Iwata, Godfather Iwata on his was like, dude, like, don't go into the drugs of mobile gaming.
Well,
Like I don't want to touch that stuff.
there
He
is
wanted to
something
run
to
an
be
honest
said for that.
business.
It's not even that necessarily, right? It is very practical to protect your customers in a way. Like Nintendo has a cult following.
Yeah.
Like there is genuine Nintendo fanboys that like all they buy is Nintendo. All other game shit is bullshit Nintendo. And
And
if you protect them, if you don't let them get taken advantage too much, because Nintendo's not your friend, but if you don't, there is something to be said about like you can get real loyalty out of that.
yeah.
I think that's
And
interesting.
that's why there's times now where I look at what they're doing now with like Fire Emblem Gotcha, and I'm like, man, you
Right.
kind of are like spitting on Awada's legacy a bit here. I don't, and that's because like a money man did eventually take over.
Right.
He hasn't been like EA awful or Bobby Kotick awful or anything, but I see some cracks already where I'm kind of like, I'm very unsure. I'm very still like on shaky grounds. I mean, there's plenty of, and don't get me wrong, there's plenty of things to be furious about that company with stuff that's publicly known, stuff that isn't publicly known. There's plenty of things to be, upset about that with, but there is something to be also, because I don't want to be just everything's shit, everything's good. Like I'll say this, like at least with Nintendo, there has been people who are kind of like, I don't want to just jump into this because it's a thing now. Like you can kind of see where like like I think Iwata could literally see like, okay, we introduce a Pokemon mobile game, it blows up, but it has like insanely fucking predatory like loot box transactions. That gets politicians around the world fucking breathing down our neck. Nah.
Right.
Just nah. Yeah, like I think he could sit there and go like, we make enough money with the franchise as it is.
Well,
We don't. We
that's what
don't.
it is. It's the concept of enough money.
Yeah.
It's a concept of like what is the percentage you're trying to hit, rather than like how can I eat everything on the table, rather than how can I get my slice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think it is a difference in philosophy, and I think that is probably why Ubisoft or Square are the guys who popped the bubble or, killed the golden goose. They pushed for so much live services, or they
Yeah,
pushed for so much bullshit.
they went in so hard, and they're still bullheaded about NFTs. Like their president, like as of last month, was still kind of like, people complain, but they don't understand the benefit of
Right.
having NFT and pay, play to pay transactions, or like work for, I forget what it's called, pay to earn, or something like that, or play to earn. He still wants to do play to earn and play to earn NFTs and stuff like that. Bro, everyone fucking hates this.
Yeah, nobody likes this, and you're just burning bridges as you do it.
And he's just like, no, all in. This is totally going to be it. Like, even though all the success they've ever had in their life came from not having this. Now, I get the idea of like, hey, you don't want to be stuck in the past. You got businesses change. You got to change with the times, kind of thing like that. But there, you can have the difference of like, yes, be fluid, but also don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
Like, for fucking real. Like, Coca-Cola is still Coca-Cola. And now there's no cocaine in it, like, 100 years ago or whatever. But
which is
however,
I'm tired of the government sticking their nose where it's blood.
Coca-Cola still sells mostly the same fucking brand of Coke ever. They once tried to change up the formula, and it became a fucking debacle for them as well. And everyone hated it, and they used it as a marketing ploy to like classic Coke, which fire the guy who came up with new Coke, but also promote the guy who basically turned that lemon into lemonade by going like, hey, we'll promote classic Coca-Cola, bring it back. And then you like literally made everyone the hero. Turned yourself from villain to hero.
I don't know, like, how do you get the golden goose back? Like, I don't want games as a service.
Yeah.
So I can't.
think it's easy with Square. They just have to like make games like 7 Remake and 16. That's fucking it. Like,
yeah, like
focus on what they're good at. And like Ubisoft is kind of in the same boat. Like, honestly, I think if Ubisoft focused on Siege, as this is the multiplayer game that does it for us, and just was like, we're just, you'll have your Assassin's Creed as they come in, but also like, here's Prince of Persia, here's a traditional Beyond Good and Evil. Beyond Good and Evil, that's not a live service game, but like just Beyond Good and Evil 2 you're expecting. Like, here's a Splinter Cell that's classic style Splinter Cell, right? Not trying to be any sort of microtransaction hell. Just like, honestly, like, I think that would go a longer way towards like people being like, yeah, fuck yeah, Ubisoft again.
Well, I do think that it is easy if you just, not every game has to be built for this. Square could easily do they could do their normal games, their games that they're known for, your Final Fantasy VII Remake, your Final Fantasy 16. You don't have to shoehorn services and microtransactions in there. But if you do a Crystal Chronicles is sort of perfect for releasing new characters later and being like, hey, here's a new character, costs $5 to add them to the game. You don't need them. You got your regular cast of characters, but it's a co-op game. You're going to get to show off this new character. New character changes the mechanics of the game. You spend $5 and I think that is it's not just a good way to do it, but it's an honest way to do it. Yeah. It's not necessary. It doesn't change the game, and you're not doing it 2 days into the game coming out. It's something that you built for the game after. Totally honest, and can make gangbusters money. Battle Royale is Warzone, for all the problems I have with it. Like, it as a live services game isn't that bad. You can buy new operators that they make for it. You can buy new weapon skins, stuff like that. No problem with that. The fact that it makes them a lot of money, I think is great. It's built sort of to be supported by live services rather than to feel, predatory, if that makes sense. Like, you're not paying for Warzone 2, and you can play just as well as everyone else. You just don't get some of the cool shit, some of the fancy looking stuff. Great. I think that's perfectly honest. Ubisoft shoehorning live services into every fucking game that they put out there is probably why most of their games feel like hot garbage. lately. You know,
Like when you can tell you're being like sold to, you've lost the plot already.
right? Like what the fuck? And when you have an interconnected, every game has the same store, so it's like, oh, for Assassin's Creed, if you played the Division, you can get I get the fuck out of here. I don't want that. I don't want Division shit in Assassin's Creed or Assassin's Creed and
You
Division
get this
shit.
iconic hat.
Right. Yeah. Like, oh, you get the emblem for your guy's shield can look like the Division emblem. The fuck? Get out of here. I don't care about that shit. Like, who cares about that? Whatever. I think when you do stuff like that, you make it look like the game is the afterthought and the store is the reason the game exists.
Yes. Yes.
That's a pretty quick way to make me feel like the game's probably a piece of shit. Probably not well made.
And the game feels like the secondary part of the production.
And that's, I guess, really what kills the Golden Goose is, I guess Ubisoft really is the perfect example. I was going to say EA is sort of the
EA
perfect.
It kind of is and wasn't really. It still is, but like they basically like. I mean, they had
They
had this big
scummed out
win.
earlier.
They had this big win recently with Dead Space remake, which came out and it's really well. And all it is just a fucking remake of a single player game, and that's it. Wow, imagine that. Maybe they'll double it up with their Jedi Survivor sequel.
Yeah.
They already canceled Titanfall Legends, which has already put them right back in people's shit, on shit list.
Like, what are you doing?
Like, yeah, like they're basically surviving now by like the fact that people still buy yearly Madden and FIFA games and still buy into the microtransactions of those yearly Madden and FIFA games.
And Apex. Right. I
mean,
Apex Legends.
Although Apex Mobile gets shut down.
Yeah, but like Apex Legends in general is still going. It's still doing all right. People still like it. Yeah. I actually sort of forgot about it, which blows me away. I forget
where someone was telling me. I think Apex is really huge in Japan. Japan or maybe China. I forget. I think it was Japan though. Like that was like as for a BR game of the BR games, Japan actually really loves Apex. That was Apex Legends is the game they like.
Might just be the art and the movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be.
But okay, any final thought on just like games as a service? Is there a champion of it of someone doing it right?
Boy, I really hate to say, but I kind of think it's Fortnite.
Epic. Epic is the guy.
And they're shitty, slimy people. Don't get me wrong.
There is no hero. They're all villains. But if
they're all
had
villains,
to pick a
but
villain,
I will say this: they did figure out the best way to make it not feel like they don't. It doesn't feel like it's. And they do have like ads when you turn on the game. You're like, hey, did you know this event's going on or whatever?
Right. They at least lube the dildo they're trying to fuck you with.
But like, I feel no compulsion to buy most of the shit on the Epic Store most of the time. And then sometimes like, oh, this dance is pretty good. Maybe I'll spend $1 or $2 on this dance or whatever. That's if I go over to the shop. I have to like go and look for the shop to see what's in there. But I just think the point is that there's no loot boxes. There's no pay to play. It's not really that big of a download, all things considered, compared to like COD anyways. And it's like, what you're getting. No pay to win, no loot boxing. It's FOMO as fuck, but whatever. It's just a very simple, this is what it is. Here's the game. Here's the fluffy shit you can buy. Whatever. And they have, and the thing is, here's the other thing. They have sales. They have sales, bundles, and mega deals. Like, they have big sales, too. Like, they have, like, one where they always go and it's $4 real-world dollars, and you get V-Bucks with it. Like, it's like this total, like, drug dealer mentality of, like, you have to spend... It has to be bought with a credit card, and they'll give you a character, and they'll give you, like, some, whatever things they hang on, gliders, and, like, whatever their digging tool is, and it'll have, like, that... a unique character tool glider, and they'll give you V-Bucks to spend on maybe on a dance or two. But it's like, the whole like sell you 6 hot dogs and an 8 hot dog bun pack. So you're like sort of like lopsided always. So you're kind of like encouraged to like float more money into the V-Buck society.
They're giving you a taste Give you
Yeah,
a taste of it.
but it's really cheap. Like it's like, oh, $4 and you get what usually costs 20.
I guess
So they
that's
get you into their system.
take note, other drug dealers.
I don't know. Fortnite does it the best, where it's like free to play, no pay to win, no loot boxing. You know what you're getting.
I guess we're gonna see if Warzone 2 Season
Yeah.
2 is
And
worth
honestly,
it.
my best advice is just stop. Don't.
Just stop.
I'm like, hey, how do we make a successful new BR game? Don't.
Don't.
Just
I
don't.
like BR though. I still like
I
it.
like BR, but I have BR games. I don't need another one. Just don't. Make our Mad Max BR.
That's what we really need.
Yeah, I mean
That's a winner.
Rumbleverse tried, but it was ugly. But like, make a game with like vehicular combat BR. I still think vehicular combat BR would go well.
Vehicular BR, vehicular battle royale. If you could get out of the car too.
Yeah,
I don't like vehicles.
but make it like
that much.
super risk reward. Like you're running out, like you get run over, you're like fucking dead. But you
Yeah.
could like roll like a grenade under a truck or something and blow the other guy up, or sneak up on them maybe. Even like that, like banana in the tailpipe.
Yeah, that could be really cool, especially if you're doing it in a big wasteland like El Mazra.
Yeah.
All right. We've got some patrons to thank. As always, if you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Our dude of the week was Christopher A. Thank you, Chris. And our producers for this episode are The Schmidt 1, Scrunami, Kuroi 35, Hyperviper 89, Ziggy Z, and Online Persona. Thank you, dudes, and we will catch you next time.
Later, dudes.